What a crazy ass full moon that we're going to have, conjunct an out of bound Mars and flowing to the north and south node of fate in their new places in the sky, Pisces and Virgo. For one thing, it's fated change that's positive, but with Mars out of bounds, it can be dramatic, rogue, intense energy. In fact, this moon, by the way, was talking with Uranus, the god of surprises, and then bumps into the Mars story. So it's definitely change that is unexpected that can come into your life, my life, and the world at large from this particular lunation. Now, it's full, so it's about fulfillment, it's about completion, it's about bringing something to a ripening or a harvesting that you began 6 months ago on a new moon in the sign of Cancer during the summer. And we'll go back and talk about that when we get to your sign. For the world, of course, things that were going on in new moon Cancer territory in the summertime are so many different things. Certainly, it was the buildup to the election in the United States, for one thing, and Joe Biden stepping away and Kamala Harris taking up the gauntlet, and those themes are seeded back then, and fulfillment of those stories continuing on is a possibility. But one of the things about a moon that is full and Mars is what needs to end, cut, sever out of your life radically, unexpectedly, or with exhilaration because of the sextile energy from Uranus. So there's a lot to say about this moon that I actually like, but for the world, I will give it this. It's definitely an intense energy when a moon in the sign of Cancer, its home temple, where this full moon is in her temple. She's really strong, but she's got that annoying Mars fighting at her, right? Because he is sharp and he is emotional and he's a patriot and he defends the home and homeland. But you can see that as misguided as well. Patriotism or nationalism or, some kind of fierce need to defend. And you can also end up with things that also don't look so great on the world stage that can cause aggressive acts to unfold from this lunation, as well as weather events like flooding, tsunamis, and stormy weather with water events. We may see that coming off the moon of the day of the lunation, the 13th. The full moon is on the 13th of January. Give it a couple of weeks to a month after to give you the lay of the land, and you may see some really intense storms. Okay, any kind of storm, even snow. Snow comes from water, right? That freezes. Storms may be coming our way, but also it is a 6 month narrative as well. And where that change happens from this moon in your life could literally be something that takes more than just a couple of weeks to unfold, but 6 months to tell you what must end, cut, sever in your world, in the Cancer part of your chart for you to move forward successfully. Okay, so if you're new to my channel, welcome. My name is Lori Lothian. I'm using the Western Tropical Zodiac Whole Sign House Systems. Fixed stars and minor asteroids are part of my specialty. I'm a predictive astrologer, and I'm also what's called a mundane or world astrologer. In the beginning of almost every video, I'll cover politics or climate stuff or election stuff. So I'll be lightly focused on Chrystia Freeland stepping into the Canadian leadership race, which runs for 70 days from January the 6th, at which point, and now that Trudeau is going to resign, someone will take his place. Then we will probably end up with a non-confidence vote and an election before October of 2025. That's our official election. It's supposed to come up 4 years after 21's election. We'll get an election before that because everyone's chomping at the bit to call a non-confidence vote in the opposition party. But our politics is not interesting to everybody. But for those of you who are interested in it, we'll do a quick look at Chrystia Freeland's chart. Whoa, our former deputy prime minister and finance minister, quite unliked by most Canadians for various reasons. Okay, so let's go ahead. I'm going to show you the chart. And before we just do that, what about that Sabian symbol that I hinted at? I did hint at it, didn't I? I better tell you about it. So in the good old Sabian symbol, one symbol for every degree of the zodiac, channeled by Elsie Wheeler back in the 30s, there is this particular storyline. When we take this 23 degree and 59 minutes, we end up with a 19, right? Add it up. 5, 20, 59, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Oh, me. Yes, we end up with a 19. Do we end up with a 19? This is when Lori should do some math. 23 degrees and 59 minutes is a 9532. Okay, 1019. We end up with a 19. That's the sun card in the tarot. It's a positive card. It has to do with leadership. So we know that this will affect leadership. We know that people who are Cancer, Sun, Moon, and Rising, you're going to be influenced. Who is Cancer, Sun, Moon, and Rising? Elon Musk. I rectified his chart to be a Cancer rising before he had a public birthday. It was clear by his life story that he was a Cancer rising. So this is going to influence Elon Musk to some degree because of his Cancer rising ascendant. And any of you listening today who are Cancer, Sun, Moon, or Rising, of course, it's your full moon, it's your lunation that you're going to fulfill something or complete something or fruit something from a seed planted in the summertime of 2024. But who else is really impacted by this moon? All of the cardinal signs. Aries, Libra, Cancer, Capricorn. This is forming an X, marks the spot. You guys are in the crosshairs of this. If it's your sun, moon, and rising, in Aries, Libra, Cancer, or Capricorn, it's mostly going to impact or most intensely impact those of you between 25 and 29 degrees of the cardinal signs. But it is really, truly impacting all of the cardinal signs, indicating a time of great change in which something wants to be cut and ended and left behind. Mars, the guy with the cleaver, Moon is categorically home, but it doesn't matter because you have a place in your chart that is the one house that is the temple of the moon. And it may be about your marriage or your career or your money. And we'll be doing that for your sign. Now, the Sabian symbol at that degree, we rounded up to 24. The Sabian symbol is simply this: a woman and two men on a bit of sunlit land facing south. Keyword inception. I find that's funny because Chrystia Freeland's getting this right on her Mars. She's having a Mars return with a full moon here. And this could literally look like, her against two guys, right? Chrystia Freeland, Carney, and some other MP guy making it to the top of the leadership race for the next replacement prime minister who won't win against Pierre Poilievre anyway. And so that could be so darn literal, right? So it talks about being prepared for decision making as it applies to allegiances and loyalties and deciding which demands will be answered. Balancing your competing interests. Okay, so it's funny. Together they represent the Platonic three souls of man. The south symbolizes passion, the libido, freedom, or lack of constraint. They're facing south. The three figures all face the same direction, suggesting a unity of purpose and cohesiveness. Okay, so interestingly, she gives you some key words, right? Of a cohesion, congruity, accord, consistency, new beginnings, inception, commencement, decision-making. You know why I like decision-making and mediation? She uses mediation so to find a balance between opposing parties. No, what I like about the energy here a lot when it comes to decision-making is Mars is the god of deciding, cutting things into two, to divide, to decide, to decide something, and then to take the action on it. So our decision-making and action-taking function is Martian. And because it's with the moon, it's full and it's a very important piece of sky for all of us. I wonder what decisions and actions you're going to see with Elon Musk in the wake of this moon. That's going to be really interesting because he's a famous Cancer rising. Now, one of the things I want to talk about next very briefly is good old Renn Butler, is the archetypal universe friend and teacher, only because what happens when the moon and Mars get together? Like, what's the energy? What does it say? Well, strength, determination, inner strength, determination, vitality, and passion. Engaging and stimulating emotional life. And Mars is out of bounds. So it's definitely engaging and stimulating because he's over the top. He's unstoppable. Ardent impulses to bond and connect. And activity like doing things in one's home, or archetypally on the darker, harder side, sharp reactions, outbursts, fierce and brash attitudes, and family conflicts and anger. Now, those are generic archetypal energies. He even talks about the sibling rivalry between Cain and Abel in the Bible here as its energy of a family feud. That's a good way of putting it. Mars is home and nest and family. I mean, moon is, and Mars is the feud. So family feud, I would say a family feud. Anything else he says I want to share with you? Shakespeare. Oh, tiger's heart wrapped in a woman's hide. Shakespeare, moon square, Mars in his birth chart. Fascinating. And JF Kennedy, JFK, who was assassinated. He says, and so, my fellow Americans, ask what ask not what your country can do for you, but what you can do for your country. Patriotism, nationalism. Mars is protecting the homeland. He's active champion hero. Perfect quote from Renn Butler to demonstrate the vibrational frequency of Mars in a connection not only to the moon, but a moon in Cancer in her home kingdom. Now, one thing I'm going to say I like about it before we do your sign is I like that this is a moon in her temple, indicating the moon in Cancer is stronger than brash Mars in a sign of his detriment. He's actually in what we call his fall. Well, Mars has fallen down. The mama moon has got her act together, which makes me not so afraid of the moon other than weather events around water matters. Okay, that's the best I can say. But for the rest of us, I think that because the moon is in good dignity and she's flowing to the nodes of fate, we're not going to mind this too darn much. We're going to find it more positive versions of Mars than negative versions of Mars. Now, what I'm going to do at this point is start to open up the chart and show it to you. And as we do that, I'm going to go through your sign. I'm only going to, for a very smidgen of a second, look at the chart of Elon Musk and Chrystia Freeland, because those are the two people I can think of off the top of my head who are getting massively activated by this moon. Just so you know, the moon of the United States of America is in the midpoint energies of Cancer. It's at 13 degrees, 14 degrees of Cancer. That is also the dog star Sirius. This moon is way out, though, of course. It's down the pipeline, rounded up to 24 Cancer. But the soul or the heart or the identity of the United States, its sun, is being influenced by this moon. So I can see this will have a bigger impact as well in terms of countries who are likely to be feeling this energy, right? Getting something out of it. It's definitely a very US centric lunation for sure. So let me go ahead and get the chart up for you, and I'll pull up Chrystia Freeland, Elon Musk quickly and get to your sign. Today's video is no longer, I hope, than an hour and 15 minutes. And I'm recording this on Monday, January the 6th. Also, I just looked at my astrocartography map, and this lunation goes through Egypt and it goes through Finland, but it also goes through the Ukraine. So Ukraine, Egypt, and Finland are in the mix. Of course, it goes through also Romania. So we have a re-election thing in Romania. So it's going to go through Romania, Ukraine, Northern Egypt. I'm just squinting at my software. Basically, we got it. So that's where the moon is actually activated the most in the world. So look at the news stories in the couple of weeks that follow the moon, at least, for those areas to be highly activated, and going back to events that happened in the summer and now are fulfilling in that part of the world. Now, this is really about Egypt per se, but of course, Egypt shares a border, right, with Gaza. So there's that part of the world involved. Ukraine, of course, is another war. Now, I've been saying for a long time in multiple videos that the Ukraine war is toast. That is done. It's an old war. It's like overripe. It's coming to an end. So we may see some advances, not just in the 2 weeks that follow, but the 6 months that follow for that moon to come to an end. Because the moon is really going through Egypt, though, not like the Middle East, where it's not really Iran, it's not really Israel. It may not be that there's a complete problem fixed over there at this point. But it wouldn't be surprised if Egypt doesn't start making some kind of noise politically about what's going on in the Middle East, and maybe trying to take some proactive steps around diplomacy, maybe encouraged by the United States, who has a strong alliance with the Egyptians because they pay the Egyptians money to keep the Suez Canal running. So there's a lot going on there. Okay, so right now, we know that this is a moon that's going to take place. It's going to activate things in that part of the world, just to keep it in mind as we go through the rest of this video. And I'm going to talk about your sign. I'm going to show it to you. When we get to the all signs, I got a little oracle deck that a friend gave me, the 13 moon oracle cards, right? And I thought it'd be kind of fun to draw one for you guys. I'm in my house. That's my little oracle shelf over there. Some of you say you like my natural backdrop better than me having the fake one. So here you go. You got me in my window seat in Vancouver, Canada. Let me pull up the chart for everyone, and you can take a look at what it looks like. And we'll start going through some of the stories in the sky. And I hope I can get this done within an hour and 15 minutes because I have a very rare client session today. And here we have it. January 13th, 2025, there is this moon at 5:26 p.m. This is set for Annapolis, Maryland. I don't know why, but just pretend that it's an important place in the world. It's the first capital of the United States before Washington, D.C. was created. If you don't know that. Okay. So I used to live in Annapolis and it goes back to the 1600s. So here we have this sky. And I put the moon with Cancer rising to make it really easy to see. There's Mars completely sucking up to the moon, right? Or the moon getting ready to bash into Mars. The moon is moving, from this direction. And I should have my little note. I'll have to go get my mouse, but that's the direction the moon is moving. It had been, right, in a conversation with not only Jupiter by conjunction, but more importantly, as the moon at 23 degrees and 59 minutes makes contact with Mars next as a major planetary contact point, the moon just came off of a sextile to shock and awe Uranus on fixed star Algol. So there's something about the surprising quality of reality that this moon has been engaged with: originality, invention, freedom, rebellion. And Mars is a rebel. Mars is a protester. Mars is a revolt. And so there's a big energy around revolt and rebellion and freedom and champion and hero and warrior and fighting and cutting as the moon enters into the contact with Mars after just contacting Uranus. So it's kind of like a translation of light from the energy of Uranus into the Martian narrative. And we're talking about that moon bumping into Mars like on the same day, right, of the lunation. So it's right there. It's going to happen in like 2 degrees after this perfect full moon. There's the sun on the other side. All full moons are the sun opposite the moon. That's what a full moon is. Remember I said that the nodes of fate were all happy about this thing? There's the north node with Neptune direct, the south node in Virgo. What do you call this, guys? You call this energy a trine, and this is a sextile. And what does that make it? It makes it a wedge. A wedge means that the nodal tension between what must be grasped for and reached, the north node, south node, what must be let go of, is resolved here in this kinetic energy. And it is kinetic. Mars is a kinetic planet on a full moon in her temple. And interestingly, I heard an astrologer recently do that old, sort of Dane Ruger take on it. The North Node is what we must evolve into, and we can't possibly sink back into the slouchiness of our old ways of the South Node. But I don't see it that way. I'm more like the Indian astrologers. I see the South Node as surrender and release to your spiritual truth. But I see the North Node as where we have worldly success, but we may also lose ourselves to the illusion, to the delusion, to the chase in the matrix. So it's not good or bad. It's just not just like, I must become my North Node and ignore my South Node. That's not it. So the whole world on this new balance of North Node in Pisces, South Node in Virgo are learning together about balancing this energy in some meaningful way. All right. So take it or leave it. And, Virgo, a health, land, resources that connect to the land, things that potentially grow. It's an earth sign. And Pisces, the seashore, the waters, our water pollution anyway, storms that are devastating land and shorelines. Shorelines is Pisces. And also refugees, homelessness, and borders, Pisces. So there's a lot going on for the world in the next 18 months with these kind of push and pull between earth and water, earth and water, earth and water in this nodal axis. And yes, difficulties with mudslides, earth, water, things to do with earth and water, and bad things too, hard things, right? That's a story for the collective. We last saw the North Node and the South Node on this axis, right? But go watch my videos on this stuff for your sign. We last saw this back in 2006, 7, and 8. We had the subprime loan scandal and a massive housing market crash and economic downdraft. Is it possibly here again? Who knows? Maybe. It also happened to correspond with 1998, 1999, and 1988, 1989 and 1990 energetically. Back then, we also had this energy playing out through our sky. So there's times to compare with the weather and with the seashores and the land and the economics of stuff, etc. Okay, what else do I want to tell you? Before we move on, there is this thing up here. This is definitely like Chiron and Hygeia, hygiene, masking, social masking, maybe things to do with a new variant or some kind of issues with contagions or something like that, only because the moon is in a broad square to Hygeia. But it's kind of it is a story because the moon will end up in a square to Hygeia shortly after the conjunction, and Mars rules plagues and pandemics in Babylonian astrology. So the darker side of the story, and I'm sorry to say it, is we're going to see some kind of return, probably coming into the month after this moon, of fear and anxiety in the collective about some kind of viral situation. I know there's stuff going on in China. I know that everybody feels anxious about it at the lowest level possible, and the bird flu story keeps coming back to be dealt up with. I had a dream about 3 months ago about some contagion coming from cows. Okay, I had a dream. So all I can say is that maybe the bird flu does get out of the cows and into the humans as a transmissible variant. I hope not, because it can be very serious, right? Or maybe it turns out not to be as serious as we all think. But that can be definitely a story that indicates some kind of difficulty with health matters for the collective, connected in some way to things that may be pandemic-ish. I don't think we're ever going to go back to what we went through before. I really don't. By the way, the North Node is with Neptune. It's very dreamy and positive, and Mars trine Neptune is a good energy. I did a Mars trine Neptune video for the weekend, not including the moon, because I was really covering Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and this lunation is on Monday. So go watch about the dreamy, good qualities, the spiritual warrior, the alchemy of a Mars trine Neptune. That is positive. Okay, that is a good thing. Let's take a quick look at Chrystia Freeland and then Elon Musk. Let me clear the mass. Uh-oh. Did I lose you guys? Chrystia Freeland doesn't have a birth time. She's our deputy prime minister who resigned and triggered the whole goodbye Trudeau mass. And she also happens to be was the finance minister. She's had foreign affairs as well. She's had several portfolios in our storyline. I don't know if you guys can see that. Yes, you can. With that, I just think she might be a Virgo rising. Okay, so I don't have enough time to rectify her chart fully. You can see the Leo in her, Leo sun, that's her red dress and her well-coiffed hair. But I think she might be a Virgo rising, and I will take some time to rectify her chart in the future. If I was to put a midheaven in here, though, which we don't really know her time, this is going to make her a Gemini at the household name degree of the 10th house. Now, we may not prefer her, I don't, but being a household name, that's a possibility of a midheaven at 28 degrees. She is in Canada somewhat reviled for her taking a hard finance tactic as finance minister and locking money up from the truckers and the trucker convoy and anyone who supported their GoFundMe and blocking their bank accounts, having insurance companies cancel their truck insurance and other calamitous things that our government did as a massive overreach under an Emergency Measures Act. So she's very unliked because of also her economic policies that have left Canadians in great hardship. So I don't know, but she's going to run. She's definitely going to run, I think. And the reason is you can see that this moon will happen on her Mars. And that means that she's having a full moon right here on a Mars return. And a Mars return is a 2-year narrative. It's going to tell us what she's up to in the next 2 years. I'm not going to do that here today, but that alone tells me we don't know what house her Mars is in, but she might have her Mars here because she was an activist when she was younger. She was a politically motivated activist against Russia and championing for her Ukrainian roots as a student. And she went to university and did more than 1 degree, the Vestal Flame in higher education. I think she is indeed this chart, but this is Mars, the activist in the house of activism and movements. And so that kind of fits her very, very well. It's Saturn here being squared by this that makes for a difficult time in her reality. But anything that squares the nodes of fate can also be about one's destiny. And there's her nodes. And this is at the bending or the square point of the nodes. Okay. And it's at the north bending. So her Mars is asking her to elevate or move into some bold and daring activation of some kind of agenda in her chart. We shall see. We shall see what happens. And she was a journalist, and Moon in the House of Joy in Scorpio, kind of investigative or diving deep under the surface. I don't think she was doing puff pieces on movie stars. That fits her. as well. So there's a story I can make all about her that looks a lot like this. So one way or the other, we see her getting completely into the thrust of this energy, and possibly I think she's running for the leadership race. And she being a female, she may win it because those people who don't like Trudeau, who are still liberal and haven't gone conservative, but so many Canadians have done that now, will say, well, if I'm going to have to make somebody in charge of the Liberal Party, it's about time we had a woman. So if she goes into the race, despite not being liked, I don't think Mark Carney is going to make the cut. He's old guard, best buddy from Trudeau, family, friends. No. So she resigned. She dissed Trudeau. She told the world he was trying to buy votes with gimmicky tax cuts, and he wasn't thinking about the people, only himself. And so she has it like, I push back against Trudeau that no one likes. I'm a woman. I predict she'll probably win a leadership race, but it doesn't mean she'll win the prime ministership, because Pierre Poilievre is a force to be reckoned with. But if she makes it to the winner of the Liberal leadership race, which ends in March, and an election is called, I will compare her chart to Pierre Poilievre. Now, we're going to take a quick look at Elon Musk, a Cancer rising. Let's take a look at what this moon might do in his chart. Just, before we look at Musk, I want to tell you that the new moon was on July the 5th, 2024. That corresponded to the aftermath in the United States of the Joe Biden debate with Trump on the 27th of June. But then in the wake of that, by July the 21st, Joe Biden had said he would step down from the race to be the president. That moon was still in effect up to a month after the lunation. And that is a part of what happened in the United States of America when the seed was planted for a new candidate to run for the presidency, which was Harris. This can indicate that themes to do with that old story are coming back into our radar on January the 13th. So let's see what happens with the inauguration approaching on the 20th. However, the moon is also what will unfold over 6 months, and it does have to do with heads of state and U.S. politics. There you go. Now let's take a look at good old Elon. What was going on in your life in July, you guys? Because this is where you're fulfilling that with a very intense, what must be cut away, severed, and ended moon. I have a feeling I'm going to definitely be doing a 2-part video. Now that I look at my time, I won't get this done before my client. I'll be stitching this baby together. Okay, so Elon Musk is sitting here. I hope this is the real chart, not the one I rectified by myself years ago. Hey, let me double check, because I did my own rectification. I'm pretty sure this is his real chart. Yeah, this is his real chart. So Elon Musk is sitting here with his ascendant at 13 degrees of Cancer. If you don't know it, that's the ascendant of the United States of America. I mean, the sun of the United States of America. On the dog star Sirius, he's born to be fused with the identity of the United States. And even though he's from South Africa, second of all, this is also in Donald Trump's solar return chart for his birthday in June of 2024 through to June of 25, has his ascendant at 13 degrees of Cancer on Elon Musk's ascendant. So it's interesting that's why they are such brawligarchies and they're so thick as thieves together. It's 1 year in which his solar return chart for Trump gave him a Cancer rising ascendant with his ascendant on the sun of the United States. And when I saw that, I was wondering if that alone was enough to call the election for Trump. And I should have considered it more strongly, because to have a temporary ascendant literally on the sun of the United States. However, for Donald Trump and his natal chart, that's also his house of hospitals. And again, I think he will be hospitalized by the astrology in 2025. I think he will not be well. I think he's also under foul play and attack as well, especially the third week. Beware the late Ides of March. Okay. Now, Elon Musk is going to have a full moon in her temple at 27 degrees of his first house. First house is his identity, cut, end, and severed. What needs to change? Does anything at all need to change for Elon Musk? He's had his Chiron return, by the way, last few years, and that means he's now on purpose with the key to purpose. Whether you like him or don't like him, he's on his purpose, and he's healed his chironic wound to do with his reputation and purpose. And he's now moving forward, healed and whole, I hope, in order to establish his true purpose. And as Chiron moves in the real-time sky towards his 28-degree household name midheaven, you're going to see that he's going to be even more either on purpose or wounded in the pursuit thereof. And this moon is sitting, as I said, for him right here. And what I notice about this moon as well, because in the real-time sky, it flows to good old North Node up here in his chart, right here, North Node in Pisces. This is a house that has to do with legislations and courts especially. So courts, he's got a flow to the house of courts, take it as you will, including higher courts. And he's got a sextile flow to the node, South Node on Pluto in the third house. Third house is transportation. And he's already a transportation guy. He's got rockets to space and he's got Tesla cars. South Node is kind of letting go, surrendering, releasing something to do with that part of his life. And so we all know he's going to be the Department of Efficiency. You want to talk about bureaucracy and departments of, what do you call it? Civil service. That's the ninth house. So he's going to move toward a North Node amplification of being ahead of a civil service unit as a result of that. But with the Mars on this moon, coming off of a direct conversation with Uranus that was right here just before the moon, I'm wondering if there's going to be some surprises here in which he's going to announce something, maybe. Mercury in Capricorn, some kind of news story broadcast to the public by Elon Musk coming off this lunation. Okay, that's my take on it. So it could be, and it may be surprising because of the 11th house activation. All right. Now, I don't know how much agency he has in terms of being ahead of an agency, like how much power he's going to have, but I would expect some kind of interesting, surprising energy to do with fighting back. Right? He's got Mars in his sign, fighting back, sharper energy towards some other person or towards Mercury's here, communication to the public from Musk in the 2 weeks that follow this moon of January the 13th. We'll have an inauguration by then, hopefully, behind the story narrative, right? Yeah, so I could even look at inauguration day, but I'll do that in another. I have an inauguration day video coming out. Also on Pluto Substack Chronicles, Pluto Chronicles. I did an article on the inauguration day. So go check out the Pluto Chronicles on Substack. It's free and you can learn more about what I think is going to happen on inauguration day. All righty. How are you doing, some of you out there? Are you all right? Are you feeling good with reality? Because I know a lot of people aren't. A lot of people are anxious about life, about drones, UAPs, viruses. So hang in there because we're going to have a second half of 25 that's way better than the first half. You just have to trust me on this one. We're going to go through the chart and do your sign. I'm going to talk about what you need to cut off and end. I want you to go back to July 5th. And I think about Elon Musk. What was he doing in July 5th? Add about a month. That full new moon in Cancer was when he began stumping and trumping and going around and really helping Donald Trump on the campaign trail. For all I know, it's when he was jumping up and down on the stage like a little boy. I love how people love to hate, and I don't really. I'm being facetious. Why are people so hateful? Let Elon be Elon. What do you ever do to you? The guy at least builds rocket ships. And what are you doing in your life? People are so wanting to be hateful online. Oh my God. Like, would you be that hateful in person? All right. I don't like certain politicians, okay, but I'm never like hating anybody. Okay, Elon Musk. I'm still on Elon Musk's chart. Sorry about that. Let's go. Poor Elon. I'm sorry, Elon. I hope I didn't screw your chart up for life. All right, so we're going to go to Aries, Sun, Moon, and Rising. And what are we doing on October 2nd? What the hell? Only the shadow knows, really, what happened there. We're going to move it back. I lost the chart that I had in the beginning. Sorry about that, guys. We're going to move it back to the 13th. All right, and understand that this moon is actually almost at 24 degrees. We're going to go over to Aries. Aries, Sun, Moon, and Rising. I'm going to try my best to go through this like an auctioneer. See if I can do all 12 signs in half an hour. Let's go. Aries, this is so simple. there's a full moon coming off July the 5th new moon. You planted a seed in the month of July, basically. And now you're going to make a fulfillment of a promise you made to yourself. And this is a moon that's happening in your 4th house. Home, land, property, real estate. Are you going to cut, end, and sever where you live? Are you going to change your home with the protection of the moon in her temple? South node in the house of rentals. Time to end a rental situation. Time to make a change of home connected to pets. Time to make a home change in the next 6 months, or some change within the home as someone who lives with you leaves the home. Your North Node flow is activating your 12th house of foreign income, foreign shores and revenue, long distance travel in foreign and distant places. Some of you may move your home to a distant land or shore far from where you currently are, including across the country, etc. It doesn't have to be another nation. The 12th is distant shores and far off places. Now, you may also increase your revenue from something you're doing in and from your home if you make money online or in digital foreign lands, or you work for a foreign company. I don't know. I kind of like that Mars was having a hobnob there with Uranus, shocking up levels of your financial well-being that allow for big changes or moves in your home, and an elimination of any financial debt you may hold can come off of the moon in the 2 weeks or 3 weeks or 4 weeks that follow, but also over the 6 months that follow this fulfillment. I'm really going to do it. I'm going to go so fast. I'm going to do a Marin Altman. Taurus, sun, moon, and rising. It's simple. There is a new beginning that requires something to end, but the moon has got your back. She's in her temple, and Mars is trying to make a break and change something, a change of neighborhood, a change of your writing projects, a change of what you're doing if you market and sell for work, a social media platform change of some significance. This is the place that Mars is making changes, making decisions, cutting and severing. And as this moon is unfolding, he was last talking, by the way, to Uranus. You're the rebel, you're the freedom lover, you're the one with some kind of streak of, I'm going to do it my way. Good old Frank Sinatra. I did it my way. F all of you. And you may quit something here. Now, let's get rid of the midheaven. We don't need that, because we don't need that at all. Back to the basics, right? Back to the basics. And back to this chart. And one of the things I'd say here is the energetic flow to the South Node, North Node. Let go of a romantic relationship, an entrepreneurial or creative artistic project you've been working on. Let go of a business. If you're self-employed, it's time to let it go, especially if it's brick and mortar, cut, end, and sever. Your brick and mortar or online business, time to release it. But you have a North Node flowing to the 11th house of career gains, pennies from heaven, and windfalls. We have a North Node, dream come true can happen here. Exalted Venus, beautiful energy up there. What is it that you wish to make real in your long range dreams and goals for your life? Because you might be able to pull that off. This new moon's coming into your life to give you freedom, to give you new beginnings and endings, but that you're like shifting. Third house matters involve travel and also learning, and you may quit a learning course or path you've been on in order to pursue something more fulfilling. Maybe you're going to quit the local college and go off to Harvard. But I do think that you'll have the energy here of support from an elder sibling or friends who are benefactors and allies in the changes you're going to experience here as you move towards a greater sense of personal freedom from something that has dragged you down. It's time to let it go. It's a creative project. It's the attachment to your child or your romantic partner. Something is releasing for you to find a sense of elevated wishes and dreams being able to come true, not just in the 2 to 3 weeks after the moon, but over the 6 months that follow. Everybody go back to July 4th, 5th, 6th, add the whole month of July. What were you doing then? Because this is a fulfillment of something that you were working on in the summertime. All right, Gemini, sun, moon, and rising. I'm going to do this before my client. Yes, this is my Marin Altman auction. Okay, she talks so fast, bless her soul. So it happens to be that you're having a really simple story. End, cut, and sever some way of making money or some resources in your life or some possessions. You can sell a home, you can sell a car, you can sell a furniture. Mars likes to get rid of things in the second house of possessions. You can change dramatically the way you put things in your mouth or nose. It's what you ingest through your face, and there's cutting, ending, severing. The moon's got this. She's so on her game. She's the mama in her temple, and she's saying to Mars, you're a little bit radical here, but we'll get rid of that dietary problem for the Gemini. Sure, let's do it together. Did you try to do that in July? Did you want to change your earning strategy or the way you make money or sell something in July? Well, you're definitely looking at it now, fulfilling the seed that was planted as an idea or a false start, becoming full. And I love that Mars was just talking with Uranus in the house of ka-ching, money from foreign shores and lands and revenue internationally. And there could be a really good up level here in a surprising way because you're making changes that allow for greater prosperity. On the other hand, you could also suddenly have a download or a divine understanding of how wine, weed, and women in song, some of your undoings are not worth hanging on to. And you just have a radical come to Jesus turning point download, and you're able to eliminate anything that harms your body instantly. The flow to the south notice, is it time to let go of a family pattern, an ancestral pattern from your childhood, or is it time to let go of a home? Some of you might be looking in the 6 months that follow for a new home. And at the same time, the North Node says expanding your worldly success in your career through changes you're making and decisions you're taking and passionate actions you're doing, including self-starter energy in the way you earn money. You're going to glow up your finances in the next 6 months. There's no doubt about that. But it's because of changes that this moon is asking you to do in the structure and ways in which you acquire your financial resources. Now, it's a Cancer rising. Of course, it's all about you. How could it not be? The moon is in Cancer. And what are you doing? You are having a temple of the moon, inner home kingdom, full light. You're building off of July. When on July 5th, there was a new moon here. And so you wanted to start something new and fresh in July. And you can think back, how did you want to become new? Start something over in career and love and home or any area of your life. Now you've got the decision-making power and the action-taking power of Mars embedded within a new beginning in the temple of the moon. And this full moon is going to help you fulfill that in the 6 months that follow. The moon is coming off of a conversation with Uranus. This is indicating that this lunation is going to bring some surprises to you on a well star from an elder sibling or from somebody who's an ally or a benefactor, or even from your own career gains. And there's a nice little surprise in the financial area of the 11th house coming usually from someone else. So this is the sibling one older. This is the energies of those allies and benefactors and friends who wish to help you. Support is coming your way in surprising ways. To make life changes you need to make. The flow to the south node, as Mars applies, is saying it's time to surrender and let go of your neighborhood, your neighbors, attachment to a younger sibling. Time to let go of something to do with your online social media life, a website, a business strategy, something you've been doing online. A releasing, a surrendering, even to let go of something that was a online livelihood, or to let go of something that had to do with a course of learning and studying, and it's time to release it. You can notice that the ninth house is fully alive with love and action. Good old exalted Venus and the North Node baking in a 5 of expanding your desire to find the meaning of life, to understand the true nature of reality, to connect to a spiritual path, a desire to maybe travel broadly around the world, or a deep experience desired for success in publications, book publishing, or even academics, including the possibility that this full moon can propel some of you to want to apply for higher education over the course of the 6 months that follows this moon. Because the moon is in the house of you, you're aiming a sharp object at your partner in marriage. Be careful with that. Just for you guys, this could end up looking like a little bit of a kerfuffle if you're not careful regarding breaking of legal contracts that require judges and courts to come into the fray. And that can look like, of course, divorce and separation tensions. But for the most part, probably not till after February 23rd, because you're going to need Mars direct to take those actions should you be thinking of ditching a relationship. Okay, I'm going to just turn the heat off in a minute, but let's keep going so I get this done before my client. No, I'm going to turn the heat down. For us, back, you guys are laughing at me on my other video, but I'm under a baseboard heater, which is awful. And I swear I can't find the right temperature. You guys want to see what Vancouver looks like at the state of the end? We have a sunny day here, which is rare, and I'll show you the beautiful view outside my window. Okay, this is my window seat in my living room. All right, I'm going to the all natural and no fake backgrounds lately. A Leo sun, moon, and rising, easy peasy moon. What needs to sever, end, and be released in your 12th house? It's time to let something go. An addiction, a self-undoing, a bad habit, a pattern, some kind of ancestral line, family of origin, stuff that doesn't really serve you, past life, karmic messes and vows of poverty and chastity or whatever you took. Time to cut those ties. It's soul work. It's soul work. Now, someone could be in the hospital, Mars in your life. It's definitely a possibility that there's a possible hospitalization of someone that you know, maybe a female. That would happen more likely in the 2 weeks to a month after the moon, right? Closer in. But if not, don't worry. This is a moon that has got some Martian energy to it. It wants you to end things, sever, cut, and all of that. And one thing I'd say about it is that this is also a moon that was just talking to the surprise and shocking energies of Algol, Uranus, in the 10th house. Some surprising turnarounds or changes or exhilarating changes in your career and reputation zone connected to downtime, isolation, home life. There's something about, you put a moon in the 12th house, she just wants to stay home in her pajamas and read books, by the fire or something, or by the water fountain in the home. She just wants to be in her solitude and in her temple. And Mars is saying, well, what do we have to make changes in order for that to happen? How can I help you? Mars says, maybe cut the work out, 6th house. Ka-ching, I quit my job. I quit that line of work. There's also the flow to the South Node, and the South Node is saying it's time to release or surrender an income source, an earning source, a path of resources, maybe even surrender an object, sell a car, sell a possession, but liberating some financial freedom perhaps, but also just let go of an earning strategy. You might want to rely on your savings, your investments, your 401k, your subtle, your partner's money, your inheritance money. Maybe it's time to take some downwind time and move into less hustle and more sort of, if you have savings of any chunky money, investments, passive income, royalty income, to receive that money instead for a while. You're going to increase your long range treasure chest of money anyway in the next 18 months with those eclipses. Worldly success through all 8th house matters financially. And this is a moon that wants to participate in that full on, like wants to help you cut away ways that you don't experience the pleasure of your solitude and the goodness of your inner life and your soulful life as well. By the way, Chrystia Freeland is a sun in the sign of Leo. And everything I just said may in fact mean she will resign and retire, which I wasn't thinking of. But I still think she's going to go into the leadership race. So, all right. It is a Virgo sun, moon, and rising sign. Virgo, this is some new full moon for fruition and fulfillment and fruiting of a seed everyone has planted on the new moon on July 5th. So a new beginning is intended here in your career gains, making money, the gains of the 10th house. Now, I have a Virgo rising daughter. She started a job in the summer, right, out of university. So she's getting career gains. It was this new seat of, I've got some money, I'm getting paid, I'm finished school. So there's that simple kind of interpretation. Maybe some of you began new jobs, new ways of making money, or this can also be about new friendships or friendships that were being nurtured and watered by you in July. Now there's cutting, severing, and ending, leaving a job in the next 6 months, having friendships end or moving away from those friends, or they're moving away from you in the next 6 months. However, we have some exciting surprises around universities and higher learning and foreign shores that the moon wants to translate, or some unexpected developments regarding father figures that the 9th house is opening up a can of worms for you in the 6 months that follow the moon. But look for some evidence of this kind of thing in the month that follows this lunation as well on January 13th. Notice that the nodes are being activated as well, and that the moon is flowing to the South Node. It's an old identity. It doesn't fit you anymore. It doesn't fit you. It's like wearing a dress that's too tight or wearing a business suit that's, the legs are too short. You got to get a new outfit here. Your outfit doesn't fit you anymore. The South Node in the next 18 months will change your identity so that you are fitting your suit better. You're in a new suit, actually. And it's moving you towards a focus of expansion and committed love. If you're with somebody, Virgo, you could get married, you can increase a relationship. This is a house of groups of people supporting you to get married, to move in together, etc. And contractual and legal agreements can become quite lucrative in the next 6 months, but you need to let go of some kind of work that isn't necessarily right for you, probably, or some kind of groups of friendships that are no longer serving you. But also the moon does activate a kind of flow of meeting a new mate if you're single through friends or colleagues and coworkers, bringing new love into your life over the course of 6 months that follow this particular moon. Libra, sun, moon, and rising sign. I'm determined to get through every one of you guys. Okay, 6 more to go, and I've got 20 minutes before a client. I can do this. Libra, you have a new beginning that you planted in your career house, your seeds of the new on July 5th. Even if you had a job that you've had forever, what new beginnings happen within the career and reputation sphere in the work you do in the world? Or if not that, what reputation advancements did you make in some way that were new for who you are? And so that is a story that was seeded for you back in July 5th, and now you're coming to a completion or fulfillment. Some of you may change your job. There's no doubt about it. A lot of you Libras are looking at quitting a job between now and mid-April. That's that long 4-month transit of Mars through your 10th house. It turns around February 23rd, and this moon amplifies it. The moon is protecting you. She's the goddess in her temple. She's wise. She's managing that rogue Mars. So if you just want to up and quit one day, she might temper him and say, yes, and let's do it in a safe way, right? Safe way is a moon story. But it looks like some of you in the next 6 months may quit work or change your work or change your job. At the same time, you got some unexpected surprises. Chunky money's coming at you. I don't know where it's coming from, an inheritance, a windfall, a stock investment, a royalty income, some chunks of money are coming that allow you in surprising ways to leave some kind of work environment or career space that doesn't really work for you. And you've been thinking about this anyway, September, October. We're going to go back and remind you of that. And then we love the flow to the nodes of fate because the South Node is activating the idea of letting go of your past lives, your family of origin, junk in the trunk, the things that undo you, that make you less than you can be, that sabotage yourself, letting some of the saboteur in you die, but also letting go of anything to do with the 12th house. This can be, far off foreign shores, hidden enemies, people and places that don't serve you. As you expand into destined work, connected to true enjoyment, connected to dreams come true, work and livelihood directions. You're called to move in the direction of actual soulful service in the world that wakes up your spirit and enlivens you. And this moon could even change your home in the course of the 6 months that follow for some of you. Okay. Scorpio, sun, moon, and rising sign. It's quite simple. That's why we're going quickly today. There's a new beginning, a full moon, a fulfillment of a new beginning that started in July. July 5th, there was a new seed planted in your 9th house. It's higher education. It's foreign land travel. It's adventures overseas. It's spiritual teacher. It's going back to university or going to college or university for the first time. It's matters to do with meaning of life and court battles and winning in them as well. Mars is a great fierce lawyer battling for your success. Mars is also passionately activating changes in your book publishing house, or maybe success and passion there as well. However, Mars wants to cut something and the moon is fully putting a flashlight on it. Quit that university, leave that publisher behind, end that legal battle. I don't know. Or go off on a radical adventure with a protection of the moon to a foreign country in the 6 months that follow this. But I'll tell you, you might want to move there because the moon will say, this feels like home. And some of your foreign adventures in the 6 months might put you in the desire to live abroad. Now, this moon comes off of an electric current connected to your significant marriage partner or business partnerships. And this is exciting. Or unexpected legal contract for book and book publishing can come your way after this lunation fulfills itself in the 6 months that follow. And look for evidence in the first month after. You notice that we see this flow from the nodes of fate. You need to let go of friendship circles that don't suit you, old career goals and bucket list dreams that are no longer active, even some kind of career gains earning strategies that don't fit you anymore, because the North Node wants you to be creative, entrepreneurial, inspired, pregnant, making babies, birthing baby businesses, birthing baby book projects. It wants you to get into the cauldron of the muse. And what you let go of and eliminate can allow for the activation of a big energy around entrepreneurial, creative, and muse-inspired stuff, or conception in the 6 months that follows of a child, or if you're an adult, the surprising discovery that you're going to be a grandparent in the 6 months after this moon. Sagittarius, sun, moon, and rising. There is a full moon taking cue from a new moon around July the 5th. This is going to mean that you've planted a seed around home, property, land, and real estate. And now from the seed that was planted here, you must fulfill a fullness. And that fullness can be a bigger home, a more beautiful home, love in the home, creativity in the home, art in the home, beauty in the home, because Venus is here too. Your dream home, stabilizing home. Okay, those are the things that might happen with this energy of Mars planting a new seed, in your 8th house, flowing to all of this in the house of home. This is mortgages. This is investment monies that can take off. This is inheritances, spousal shared resources, and successful separation of your assets from somebody else's. That's what the story might be. And a seed might have been planted for this idea in July, and it can fulfill itself by 6 months after the moon. The moon's taking off from an energetic current with Uranus, some shocking, surprising, exciting developments with debt relief, work, new rental property opportunities as well. And the moon also suggests time to let go of your identity and reputation. Now, that's a tricky one because it's not just something to do with work that you could change, because you have a lot of excitement in the workhouse. So new job, new career path, new meaning in life. But we look at the 10th house and we say, I'm married, I'm separated, I'm divorced, I'm widowed, whatever these public statuses and social standings are. Some of this is going to be a letting go of the way the world sees you. And it really does amplify something to do with successful building, decorating, enhancing the beauty and love that you experience in the home over the 6 months that follows this. But also you might separate from someone and your legal financial assets as well. I mean, I always say this for Sagittarius, Jupiter here will either bring in a new mate, especially direct, or try to separate you from an existing one if the relationship doesn't meet his approval. So keep in mind, some of you might be having endings as you separate from a relationship from this lunation. But it works out for you, okay? You get the house, okay? You get the house. January, so this is happening on January 13th, and that we just lost the moon because of the essential movement of the sky. So on January 13th, okay, so now we got to go to Capricorn, sun, moon, and rising sign. We're going to talk about it as you are going to experience this energy of a new beginning, a fulfillment from a new beginning you tried to plant on July 5th. And the new beginning is in your long-term committed love stories. This is your relational house. It could be a business partner. It could be your audience marketplace. It could be your long-term love partner. And there is a seed that was planted, a thought, an idea in July. And this is the question. Are you going to stay in this relationship? Because Mars cuts, ends, and severs. And he's going back to also considerations of October and whether a primary love relationship is right or good for you. And so now we can see that Mars cuts, ends, and severs. Moon protects you and your partner. It's the right decision for you both, perhaps. Who knows? You can also notice that this moon has had a shocking surprise in the house of romantic love or children. And so things to do with children and romantic love, surprising but positive flow coming to you, including the possibility of winning money. And you could be winning money through a relationship partnership as well. So your partner could hit the jackpot on some kind of win of a lottery or casino night, or maybe something to do with just good fortune that comes your way in algal wealth star surprising ways that you share with a partner. But why is Mars there? What might need to be separated? Is it just separating the spoils of war, and you win some money and you get half, and because Mars cuts things in half? So there's a positive way to look at it. Now, the fact is that Mars moon are going to flow, of course, to the south node, north node axes. And what do you need to let go of? Well, this is foreign lands, foreign shores, foreign travel. And this is let go of higher learning, let go of legal fights and battles, or let go of third marriages. This is your third marriage house, second marriage, second house, first marriage, seventh house. Okay. You could also feel like with a north node, you want to expand your travel, expand your neighborhood, expand where you live, to a better neighborhood, a brighter neighborhood, a more beautiful neighborhood, a more steadfast, destined, solid neighborhood, or expand and grow your online and writing and creative social media life in the wake of this moon and reach a new audience. And maybe Mars says, cut away, snip, and sever the old audience. Not my people. Maybe you're going to get off of YouTube and go to Substack. I love Substack, but I'm not a Cap rising. It's not my problem. Let me know what happens. Aquarius, I am one of you. This is a story where you're going to experience a really beautiful energy of a fulfillment of a promise of a seed that was planted back in July. Now, this is requiring what must be cut away for something good to hatch. Cut away things that are not good for your health. Mars is in the sixth house. Cut away your work. Change your work, make decisions around the work you do in the world and the service you offer the world. And this is about protection from Lord Luna. The moon is here to protect that Mars's rogue decision making and keep things somewhat stable. And you could end, cut, sever a work, career, or health disability path and get maybe more active. Moon says be active from home, start exercising, get your yoga mat out or something like that. There is taking a cue from Uranus, and this is rentals and this is home. Surprising, shocking changes in rental home, whether you're the landlord or you're the leasee. You should expect that not only in the month after this moon, but even up to the first 6 months after. And you might have planted a seed for new work energies and new home energies back in July. Were you pondering that? The South Node says let go of reliance on chunky money, passive income, royalty income, inheritance, shared monies with a spouse or spouse-like partner. Move towards more hustle in work and earnings. It's all good. It's the North Node. All of us Aquarians are going to increase our financial success over the next 18 months as eclipses and North Node transits through this second house. And Mars said, and end, cut, and sever the work routines and the health routines and the habits and the things you do in the work so that you can prosper. It's do the one thing. It's not what you add, it's what you take away in the work you do that allows for this expansion of your second house. I mean, off the top of my head, I still think I probably don't need to go back and see clients again. I'm opening a few spots February, March, and April, but it's not my main income source anymore by far. It's a smidgen of it. And I really don't need the business, right? But I don't want to get rusty. So I'm trying to find the balance of my time. Finally, just because Mars is looking at the house of addictions and self-undoing, you can imagine that with the sun, Mercury there, you're going to come up with new ideas or new ways of thinking about self-undoing addictions and bad habits and patterns. And however, you're your own worst enemy, you're going to have the ability with the help of this moon to find comfort and ease in healthier work and habits, healthier health habits, healthier exercise habits. Mars is in his joy. He won't let you down. A miracle that this is going to be done in time. Okay, Pisces, sun, moon, and rising. Well, a new moon planted on July 5th in Cancer indicates a fresh new beginning or fresh start in relationship to your grown children, to pregnancy and fertility, to entrepreneurial and creative endeavors, and your sex life and romance. So this is where you planted a new beginning. You want to start something fresh. Maybe it's a new business idea. Maybe it's a new romance you want to create. Maybe it's a new start or fresh start with one of your kids. Maybe conceiving a child. Full moon is conception for Pisces who are of the childbearing age. Now, Mars is cut, end, and sever. So some of you might find that your true joy comes from what you release. The creative project that's dragging you down, the entrepreneurial business that's not working for you, the romantic partnership that isn't yours to hold on to. You may have some of that going on. There's no doubt about it. The other energy here could indicate you have a chance to make a change and a decision regarding a creative or entrepreneurial business idea or project. And this is going to also amplify this feeling of Uranus in the house of social media, marketing and selling on Algol Wealth Star. There could be a really exciting increase of financial resources available to you in a very interesting way if you were to make some decisions or take some actions around creative projects and entrepreneurial projects when it comes to online and social media endeavors, or unexpected chances and travel opportunities to travel for leisure and romantic travel can emerge for you in the wake of this lunation in the weeks that follow and the months that follow. Mars is talking to the South Node. Let go of the relationship to your audience, your marketplace, or your clients, or your significant other or business partner. It's time to let go of it, cut, end, and sever. This is a classic end of a romantic love story. But a full moon can bring fulfillment. And if you're single, there could be a new person coming, but this person will bring you a lot of Mars passion. You want to focus on the Mars moon flow to the North Node. You're increasing, expanding your sense of identity. You're becoming a bigger version of your very own self. So look forward to how you blossom and glow and increase your sense of identity. You're in love with yourself for a long time. You might not have been, but Venus is giving you an internal glow up, feeling good about who you are. And you can get even a better feel from this full moon by what you let go of in the fifth house. And that can be for some of you, a sexual relationship, a relationship to one of your children. Maybe they're going to move out of the house and you just have more space to yourself. And that's going to be really good for you. Okay, so those are some thoughts I have. All right, thanks for listening to All Signs. Bless you on this lunation. I am about to go see a client. Bye, everyone. I'll see you in the next video. I'm putting up my top 15 predictions for 2025. I've been writing them down, thinking about them, looking at some astrology, using my intuition, and that's probably coming out on the weekend, a couple of days after this video. So stay tuned for that.